means it's live. We're live. Are you alive? Are you surviving the holiday prep and the holiday rush? I have been checking you all out in the Tulip People, and holy cow, I get tired just reading everything that you're doing. Last week I thought you guys were busy, but I think you're doubling down. I hope you're pacing yourself for the next couple weeks, because today's only the 7th, just for clarification. So glad you're with us. I'm Teacher Michelle, and in the studio today I have Teacher Carolyn with me, and I have Ricky running tech, and Hitomi is with us also. Out in Cyberland, excuse me, Caledonia and Susie will be with you, and Leanne and David are with us remotely today. They decided it was just too cold and they're not here, so it's good to be them. If you are watching us on your phone, flip it sideways, swipe the comments out of the way if you don't like them. If you're watching us on the big screen and commenting on your phone, you are super tech savvy and we're very proud of you. So I'm gonna grab my first container and we're gonna get started. Go big or go home, right? And I remember the Lazy Susan. Although it's kind of noisy when it has something heavy on it like this. So we're obviously gonna do some Christmas designs today. How have you been? What have you guys been doing other than what I've seen in the Tulip People group? I'm gonna say that most of what I'm working with today is foraged. Let me think about that now that I've said it. Most of the foliage that I'm working with today, how's that, is foraged. Obviously, I do not have ranunculus, lisianthus, or garden roses in my yard. And we had a lovely little snowfall on, was that Sunday?
Sunday.
Yeah, I had a couple inches at my house. And some of the lovely foraged treasures that I had planned to bring in to play with got a little frozen. And when they thaw, they're not so pretty. So I'm really down to the hardcore basic evergreens at this point, and my sticks and twigs and branches. And even though it's not foraged, y'all know I love glitter. So I have a whole basket of shiny little treasures over here. Don't know that I'll use all of them. And Jim, if you're on there today, I know you're gagging and I'm sorry, but you know I love my glitter. So who is with us today? Has anybody chimed in to say hello yet?
Well, we have a few here on YouTube. We have Tess, we have Roxy, Rose, Carrot, and Greg.
Well, good. And tulips, are you putting your tulip emoji in so that we know that you're a member of the Tulip People?
They are, and Leanne just popped in on YouTube.
Oh, good. How about on Facebook? Anybody over there chiming in?
Carl, Jim, Rick, Roger, Kathy, Denise, and Rick said, hello from New York City, a day of exploring all things floral in the city for his birthday.
Oh,
spent lots
fun.
of time at the Flower District.
Well, excellent. Well, happy Rick Day there, buddy. I'm glad you're doing something fun. I'd like to go to the flower market in New York. That sounds good. All right, so I already prepped my foam and my container. I've got some pretty good sized stems. They're branches to go in. So I did use floral netting to secure everything in together. It just gives it a little extra hold. But my branches are bigger than the holes, so I'm just now cutting apart the secure structure that I made, which seems a little counterintuitive, I know, but there you have it. So I'm gonna work, Ricky, I forgot to tell you I'm going tall today. Whoopsie. You probably figured it out.
I made it extra tall.
You made it extra tall, okay, that's good. She always says, are you doing anything tall? I go, no, I don't think so. And then I come in and it's like 5 feet tall. She's like, yeah, that's tall, doesn't show. But that's okay. You always get to see the finished designs afterwards with Ricky's gorgeous photography. So it doesn't really matter if I cut the top off during this part. It's fine. So what I'm sticking in first are a few really delicious licheny branches from out in my yard. You've heard me all refer to vertical storage before. I went out and shook the tree until some branches fell down. So I had some nice big chunky ones to work with. And actually I could have gotten some smaller ones because these are really pretty big and chunky, a little bigger than I really thought I wanted. But you know, I had my hard hat on because when they fall, they're a little wild and crazy. All right, let me grab some nippers here because it's gonna take a little more than my floral knife to get through some of these branches. So the design I'm going to work on today is kind of porch pot inspired. I know we talked about that in the past, and obviously in the scale that I'm doing it, it wouldn't be porch sized. It's just not quite large enough, but it could be lovely on a buffet or a side table or something like that. I'm not a Midwesterner or a Northeasterner, or I'm a Northwesterner. I'm from the PNW, but I do like porch pots. I like the concept of them. I like the warm and welcoming aspect of them, and I love the fact that you can change them up seasonally to do different designs. Mine obviously have growing things in them during the spring and summer months, and then when I weed them out and clean them out, I replace them with a big mache full of chicken wire, floral netting, and floral foam, and then I start with my fall pieces that go in and my transitional materials, and then of course you add the bling in for Christmas season, and then you pull it back out as you get into the winter season and just adjust with whatever looks cool in the yard. So that's where I'm headed with this today. So December 7th, who has their Christmas shopping done? Anybody? Anybody have their Christmas shopping started or mostly done? Are you an early shopper or a last minute panic chaos type person? Type that in there, let me know. Are you somebody who likes to get it done early, or do you prefer to wait for the last minute sales and see if you can scoop up a bargain either for yourself or someone else? That's probably my biggest problem, is going shopping for other people and coming home with one for them and one for me and one for somebody else and then another one for me. There are a lot of Christmas presents under our tree that say, to Mom, love Luke and socks, and those are the cats. They're excellent shoppers, and they also have my Amazon password, so they can buy online as well. All right, so I've tucked in a little bit of Douglas fir over here, and then I have some flat cedar on this side. And I think I want to tuck in a little bit of this other flat cedar that has little brown cones on it. I don't know if you can see it. I'm going to put that little piece right there. Does that show up pretty well, Ricky?
Scoot it towards you just a little bit more. Perfect.
Like that?
Yes.
So when I harvested this, these were, the little tiny cones on it were very, very tight because it was cold and wet, so they had closed back up. But as they've been in the warehouse and starting to open up, they do start to look like little teeny, itsy bitsy tiny cones, which is very cool. They add just a whole lot of texture to things. I like cones of all kinds: pine cones, fir cones, hemlock cones, spruce cones. Somewhere I've got a bag of cones that I brought in. Little larch or tamarack cones, small sugar pine, not the giant sugar pines. I have some of those, but I just keep them in a big box of treasures. I don't use them. Makes no sense, but that's where they live. So I brought in a couple of the smaller sugar pines. They're not ginormous, but they're pretty good sized. And then I have some very large ponderosa pine cones and a little bit smaller ponderosa that I brought in to play with. So I'm not 100% sure that I'm going to use them. I thought about using these, so I got them wired up, but I'm kind of grooving on these guys, but we'll see. We'll see what speaks to me in the next 3 or 4 minutes. So anybody else chiming in and saying howdy, or?
Well, everybody on YouTube is just got all their ducks in a row. Their Christmas shopping is almost done. Maybe 1 gift or 2 left to buy.
Wow.
Same on Facebook. I'm impressed. Carl and Arthur, they're all done with shopping.
Of course they are. They're very organized. You two, I'm not the least bit surprised, but the rest of us, okay. I'm
Well,
impressed.
Jim has only 3 gift cards to buy. Leanne said 1 more gift to buy. I think everyone's doing great.
Wow. Yeah, y'all are ahead of me.
Well, I haven't bought a single thing.
Me
Good for you, Carolyn. Good for you. Well, I got notification earlier today that a gift that I had shipped to, where did it go? Atlanta, Georgia, hello, was delivered, and then they texted me to say, we got it. So that was good. That's the only thing that I have really completed, because you just never know with shipping how long something's gonna take to get from here to there. All right, what other treasures of foliage? Oh, here's camellia over here still. Grab some of that. And I'm not sure what this is, but it's groovy and I like it. Did we think this was in the Grevillea family, Carolyn? Is that what we came up with last time?
Yeah, that's what we came up with.
Okay, we don't know if we're right or not, but it sure looks like it, so. That's our story, and we're sticking with it. So I'm gonna spin this back around. So as you are out and about and doing your decorating and shopping, etc., are you seeing anything different this year? Are you working with a different color palette at home than you typically have? Are you seeing different kinds of designs or colorways or color groupings this year? I know for me at home, I do my Christmas tree to match my house decor. Partially because I'm lazy and partially because I like it that way. And then I also have a second tree that's more homey, I guess I would say. Not necessarily homemade, but ornaments I've had since I was a very small child. A lot of Hallmark ornaments on there. I'm pretty sure there's a bottle cap ornament or 2 from back when milk came in little bottles with little foil caps when you were in grade school, and you had morning milk, and they would bring the little cart around with the milk on it. Never mind, you guys don't know what I'm talking about. But anyhow, the caps that were on those, I have an ornament or 5 that are made from those, I am certain. All right, so what I'm doing right now with this foliage is I am just grouping it with its brothers and sisters, giving it a little more contemporary appeal than if I went in and just started polka dotting the foliage throughout the design. Oh, the back actually is prettier than the front. What you got, Carolyn?
Well, Leanne just chimed in and says she's enjoying live from this side of the camera, eating pie while I watch. What is your favorite pie flavor? I have 6 kinds in my possession right now. You need to share.
Yeah, I got nothing for that one. Don't choke on the pie. What is my favorite kind of pie? My favorite kind of pie. Ooh, okay. I have several. I love a berry pie, Marion berry specifically,
Yes,
because that's,
me too.
you know, Oregon. I like apple pie. I didn't used to, but when we moved into the house that we're in now on the farmette. We have a little orchard, and I think we have 4 or 5 apple trees and 2 pear trees. So I can apple pie filling every year so that we have it to eat all year long. So I've kind of gotten accustomed to, you know, whipping up an apple pie. It's not that hard at this point. But I think my all-time favorite pie is lemon pie. Now, not Jell-O lemon pie, but if you're a baker, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the Eagle brand lemon cream pie with toasted meringue on the top. I just gleeked from bed. It is so good, and I do not make it very often because when I make it, I eat all of it. It's gone. Like, I have a slice and my husband has a slice, and I've inherited this amazing skill from my mother, who said, "Oh, I just have to even up the pie." Well, she'd come by and cut a little sliver off. And then maybe later in the day, she cut another little sliver, and then she goes, "Oh, well, it's not symmetrical. It's not a half a pie." So she'd cut it so that it was a nice half, and then suddenly the pie was gone. So as much as I love it, I don't make it very often. So I think those are my pies, the pies that I like.
Oh, and then Greg says with the graham crust too.
Either with graham cracker crust, it depends on how much of a hurry I'm in and if I have graham crackers. If I have lots of time, I would make my crust from scratch, just a standard pie crust, but most of the time it's a graham cracker. Sometimes I cheat and I buy the Pillsbury in the package. Don't tell them. But I still manage to eat the pie, even if it's a store-bought crust. So, what are your guys' favorite pies?
Oh, we're getting strawberry, rhubarb, or peach.
Oh, no peach. Nasty. No peach.
Pecan.
Oh, pecan is good.
Blueberry.
Blueberry is yummy.
Let's see. Oh, there's some apple.
Apple is good.
Southern or Williamsburg? What does that mean?
Southern or...
Oh, that's where she's from.
Oh. It's like, what kind of pie is that? It's delicious.
We have coconut, banana, apple, pumpkin, and pecan.
I forgot about the nut pies, the pecan and so forth. I'm enough of a nut. I probably don't need to add to it, right? All right, so now I have a little bit of juniper that I'm adding in, and he is a prickly little dude, so if you just see me smile like that, you'll know I'm inwardly cussing because it bit me, but it just smells amazing in here right now. And this has just a little different texture than the flat cedar. They're in the same family. I probably should do a little more research into dendrology and trees and stuff. I asked my husband, because he knows that kind of stuff, and he looks at it and he goes, "It's an ornamental. I don't know. That's Douglas fir." It's like, okay, thanks, hon. Not helpful. Not helpful at all. And I told him, I said, "I'm just going to tell the Tulip people that you said you don't know it's an ornamental." And he's like, "No, you won't. When you watch it on replay tonight, you'll find out, won't you?" All right. I'm just going to give in and use this big branch. This big branch. Bit me. All right, get in there. All right. So just a lot of texture, a lot of different tints, tones, and shades of green. If you've had flower school, you know how to determine your tints, tones, and shades. And everything is seasonal. Some of it out of my yard. The grevillea-esque stuff is not. It is not indigenous to Michelle's farmette, so I can't take credit for it, unfortunately. But I'm thinking this would be lovely just as it is, maybe with a couple of the pine cones, the sugar pine wired in. Playing with their, ooh, that one's pitchy. He's a little pitchy. Oh, I'll behave. I don't know. If I went all natural, I could stick a couple of those cones in like that just to stay on the really wintry, woodsy look, which I'm fine with. But glitter is so much more fun. So I'm going to zhuzh this up a little bit and kind of stay in the neutrals palette. I've got a giant other G word, gold glittered ball. We were laughing about the temperature in here. Normally, if I'm on live, they come in and they're really nice and they just dial the AC down to like sub-zero. And in the summer, that's fantastic, so that by the time live is almost over, I'm only half melted. Well, today it's actually cold in the studio. What did you say it was, Ricky? 57?
57.
Yeah, 57. And my fingers are cold and I can't really feel anything. And I think it's settling into my brain as well. So, but I pulled just a bunch of shiny bits and baubles and all kinds of fun stuff. What else is in here? Wired up some glass millimeter balls. I've never understood why I know why they call them millimeter balls, because they're sold by the dimension, the millimeter dimension. But you think they'd come up with a better name than millimeter balls. Baubles. They're baubles. I have some matte gold baubles to work with. And I think I'm just going to zhuzh this up a little bit. I can see in amongst all my foliages and so forth. But just tucking a few of these in. Anybody had any thoughts or comments on the different color schemes or colorways that they've been seeing this year? Anything different or new?
They've been, on YouTube, they've been busy talking about pies.
Same on Facebook.
It's all about the food around here. Thanks, Leanne. Actually, we'd also been talking about we need chocolate, so we might be having chocolate shortly after the live is over. All right, so I'm just working some sparkly. Does that show, Ricky, or do I need to slide that over?
No, that shows.
Okay, so I'm working some glittered elements, some sparkling elements in. To me, this doesn't necessarily say Christmas. It does say festive holiday, and I would be inclined to leave, well, I'm not done yet, but I would be inclined to leave something like this up through the winter season. It's not your traditional red and green palette, so it doesn't feel Christmassy to me as much as it just feels festive and holiday. Glittery elements obviously are great around New Year's as well. We tend to think of gold and glitter and disco balls, yet another favorite thing of mine. But it's not that traditional, I almost said what I was going to ask you, color harmony. So those of you that have had flower school, what is a red and green color harmony? What is that? Can you guys type it in there and tell me? Because I know, but I want to know if you know what it is. I'm just going to put him on that side, but I think I'm going to move him over here, because I can. Oh yeah, better choice. Get in there. Kind of falls in with that draping cedar there. And I don't have a problem with the rustic cones and the sparkly bits. I kind of like the juxtaposition of the two together. I think it adds a nice contrast. Grab grabbed a snowflake, but I'm not really sure I want the snowflake.
Okay, everybody's chiming in super quick on both Facebook and YouTube, and they're all correct. Complimentary. Good job,
Yay!
guys.
Good job, that's right, thank you. Yep, red and green is complimentary. Oh. All right, I'll let you guys have some say in what I use here. So I'm gonna do a quick, if I don't knock everything over. Tommy's looking at me like, oh, you're gonna throw things at me in about 10 seconds, I can see it. So I have some flocked birch branches, which are not from my yard, but they do pull the white nicely. And I also just have some regular birch branches, which are more natural, not glittered, but it does help reinforce that woodland aspect. So type in either white for the flocked or brown for the regular, because those are fewer letters to type, and I'll work whichever you guys respond with the most of quickly into the design. How's that? And then, while you're typing, thank you to those of you who answered the complimentary color palette. That is correct. And we do talk about color palettes at Flower School. We talk about color harmonies and the color wheel and all the ways to work with color. And if you've ever thought about coming to Flower School or taking another class from us, I have a little treat for you today. Ricky, can you grab my little code for me? So, Leanne has set up a special thank you to all of you, and it is $100 off any class. $100 off any class that we offer in person or online. You can use it for any class. You can use it for every class. There is no limit to the number of times you can use it, and it's good through December 30th. So, if you've been thinking about coming to Flower School, there's a little opportunity to save a few dollars and take advantage of $100 off any class that we offer. So what was the verdict, white or brown?
Brown wins on YouTube, and I didn't count Facebook. How about
Brown wins on Facebook as well, by slight numbers, but yes, brown.
Brown? Really?
That was my choice too.
Really? I wanted the white. I wanted the, oh, fine. I said I'd do what you picked. So I'll do it. Fine. It's not enough glitter, people. I need more glitter. Now my glitter's not going to be balanced, but that's fine.
Oh, but Greg said use the gold plumosa in the background.
Oh, I could. I thought about you. No, that'd be too much. Well, it's not done till it's overdone, but I wanted some extension over here on this side. A little crazy. Channeling my inner Carolyn. Just push it till it feels uncomfortable. Oh my goodness. So I'll tuck a few of these brown ones in off. Actually, I might put them off to both sides. I think it's going to need that for balance. Can never have too much glitter. Alright, we'll tuck a few of these in. And of course, I can't get far enough away from it in the studio here to actually see what it's looking like, if it's actually looking like I think it should in my head, so we will play with it a little when we get off camera, I am sure. It always takes a little bit of tweaking. I always get a giggle when somebody posts, "Oh, I'm glad you fixed that." It's like, well, yeah, I didn't see it when I was doing live. Sorry, lights are really bright. All right, so, woo, there we go. Got a few more branches in it, but you know, it doesn't have enough bling for me. I think it needs a little more. What do you think, Carolyn? How about like a really big ornament?
Ooh.
What do you think? You guys like that? Well, I don't really care if you like it or not. I'm gonna put it in, but I really like it because it's blingy. It was a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it. But I think, well, you know, I think it'd be kind of cool. You know what I need is a really big ornament hanger. But wait. Looky what I made. So this is copper tubing, and I've fashioned it into a shepherd's hook on the end, and then using a technique that we teach in basic floral design when we're working with glued corsages, I've made a woodland corsage, if you will, of different kinds of ribbon, complementary ribbons, with some pine cones and some little Douglas fir cones as well. And I'm gonna pop, oops, hello, sorry speaker, pop this up in here, and it's going to give me, it's probably out of range, huh?
Yeah, it's a little off camera.
That's okay. I'm gonna pop this in up here, and it's going to let me hang my ornament in the middle, and then I will move it so y'all can see it. Who picked those brown sticks? They're really in the way, you know? All right. So that gives me a way to display a really large ornament. Now this one is plastic, so I don't have to worry about it shattering. But you could use the same technique with aluminum wire or what's the word I'm looking for? A shepherd's hook. It's kind of out of season right now to get one at a garden center, but if you've done wedding work where you've used a shepherd's hook down the aisle to do some kind of aisle treatment for a wedding, then that would be a great way to add a really large ornament into an arrangement. If you don't have that, hit the hardware store. This was just a length of copper tubing, and it comes in a variety of sizes. This one happened to perfectly hold a wired wood pick that I placed up into the tubing, and then that allowed it to bite into the foam a little bit and suck up some of the moisture. So I'm looking for a good pair of ribbon shears, which I'm not finding. So I will have to add the ribbon in to pull that ribbon into the design. I'll be tucking it into, just so you guys get to see where I'm headed, I'll be tucking it into the arrangement on this side, so the brown sticks are fine, I didn't need the bling. But that will help increase the unity in the piece, and it pulls the weight of the pot up into the design and then on up with the branches to the top as well. So that will be a little treat for you tomorrow to see it all finished out as such. So I'll move him out of the way. How'd you guys like that one? Is that fun?
Yep, you're getting lots and lots of hearts.
Good, good. Sorry, Ricky, I did it too big for the camera.
It's okay.
Okay, you forgive me.
Yes.
All right, well this next one's a little bit smaller. And obviously as you work on big pieces like that pot, you end up with lots of little bits of foliage. So I wanted to have a little solution, or not really a solution, but an opportunity. Digging for some wire back here. To use those things. I always believe that we need to conserve our materials, use them wisely, and if I'm working either freelancing or working in my own space, or even when I'm teaching, I always have, much to Carolyn's dismay, I'm sure, I always have a little pile of bits, flotsam and jetsam, bits and bobs that I have saved because you just never know when you might need a little bit of something. And if you have a lot of little bits of something, then you can make a big something.
That's right, I saved my bits and bobs too.
Yes.
Jim says, now I can tell my wife that Michelle said I need a tubing bender.
There you go. See? Does that make up for the glitter, Jim? All right. So yes, I know I could buy foam already cut into a round shape. And yes, I know I could also already buy it wrapped in netting or something similar. However, if you don't have access to that or you didn't know it existed, then it makes it a little hard to get it. So I'm taking it old school. This was 1/3 of a brick of floral foam that I cut into I won't call it a sphere, but I made a round-ish shape with it because it doesn't really have to be perfectly round. I could have kept carving on it and smoothing it until it was perfectly round, but honestly, by the time I'm done, it's not going to make a whole lot of difference. And what I'm doing right now is just taking a piece of that paddle wire and threading it through those bits of floral netting to help secure it together. And I have seen people do it without using some kind of security around the foam. I don't really recommend it, especially if you're going to be suspending whatever it is that you're creating. If I were just doing this as a floral orb on a table, I could probably just get away with some wet tape. But if I wanted to suspend this, I want to make sure that as I place materials in here, it does not break the foam apart so badly that it just comes apart. So if you haven't already figured out what I want to show you, dumpster diving for the moment, looking for a little stick. That'll work. What I'm making is a kissing ball. Does anybody know what a kissing ball is? Or does anybody not know what a kissing ball is? Maybe that's a better question to ask. Well, a kissing ball is kind of an historical treat, I guess I would say. Typically hung in a doorway, and quite often it would have mistletoe in it or something similar. I do not have mistletoe today, but it would be an opportunity for young couples to kiss underneath the mistletoe, and it also just provided a festive decoration. Quite often it was had a garland swagged in a doorway transition from one room to another. And what I did here was take a piece of the aluminum wire, wrapped it around a little discarded piece of stick, and that gives me kind of an anchor point. It keeps that from pulling through my foam and my floral netting. And then as soon as I found a pair of jeweler's pliers, I know we have them. And this top portion will serve as my ribbon attachment or my hanging point. And I'm just going to bend it around, I guess I don't really need the pliers, bend it around my pen, and then use the pen to just twist tighten that together, and then I can slide it out. Now I have a very, very secure hook for hanging my kissing ball. I could put it onto a little rotating spinning thingamajiggy-bobby. I could just use it to run ribbon through or cabling, whatever it was that I might need to suspend. And then of course, rather than waste the wire, I'm just going to use this little bit here and curl it and coil it and give myself a little sparkly extra bauble there. It looks kind of like a pumpkin, but you know, it works. So this is a great use for all those little bits of foliage that we have. And as we've been working here over the last few days, last few weeks, filming and doing lots of things, we've just collected all the little bits and bobs of different kinds of material. I've got some Doug fir, I have some of the juniper, I have some of the cedar, and I'm just going to take the little bits and poke them into my kissing ball and just continue that all the way around. So if you've ever made a flower girl pomander or something like that, this is just a different take on that. And I'm not going to do the whole thing at this point. I'm going to do just enough to show you some different finishing techniques, but I think you would probably scream at your television or your phone if I stood here and fed every single piece into this. But I wanted to make sure you could see the mechanic of it rather than starting with it half completed. So back to presents, because we talked about pie. Pie is awesome, but presents are awesome too. Who wraps their presents as they go? Do you wrap your packages as you purchase them, or do you wait to the end and do just a big old crazy marathon 3-day wrap fest on your ironing board or your kitchen counter or your design room counter, wherever you work? So type that in there. Let me know. Are you a wrap as you go or wrap at the end? And that's WRAP, not rap. Not like never mind music. You can tell I'm not a rapper. Carolyn's over here just rolling her eyes and like, oh God, get her off camera today. She doesn't need the chocolate or the caffeine apparently. But I'm not sweating yet, which is lovely. It's nice. I've adjusted to the cold in here and my hands are warming up. So that's good. So I'll snip a few more little bits of the juniper. And of course, I will finish off all of these designs so that when Ricky takes a picture tomorrow, they are fully completed and you can see them all done. They're shedding terribly up here, but I want to get a little more into it so you can see what's going on. The nice thing about these is, yes, you could use the orbs of foam to start and do them with. The other thing is you can use those odd little third brick of foams or whatever that don't quite fit something or aren't working as well as you thought they would, or the miscut foam, because we never do that, do we? We never miscut the foam into the container.
Never.
But because they are evergreens, they last so well, and you could be making these up, maybe 1 or 2 a day, if you're in a retail environment. If you're not, run out in the yard and forage. Boxwood is your traditional material to do this with. Now this is Oregonia, but it is a boxwood, and some of that tucked in here not only gives us that very traditional aspect, but it also gives us a little different color and a little different texture. Adds a little bit of sparkle since the Oregonia is variegated with some two-tone. So anybody giving an answer if they're a wrap as they go or a wrap at the end?
They are. On YouTube, the majority are big wrapping parties at the end, and then there's a couple that wrap as they go.
Cool. How about on Facebook?
On Facebook, everyone's having a wrap fest.
A wrap fest,
Yeah.
okay. I
Pretty
confess I am more of a wrap at the end girl, and that's mostly because I get in the groove, and I just start getting crazier and crazier and more creative with how I'm wrapping things, and I hate taking the paper out and putting it back, taking it out and putting it back, moving the scissors, moving the tape. It's like, nope. Take over one part of the house and just work my way down the list of packages. Works so much better. All right, so pretend that I've done the whole thing all the way around. Now you can come in and embellish with maybe some ribbon or some little flowers. Don't have anything really, really small on set today. But just a simple bow tied up at the top. Get myself a little bit of wire here. And of course I mentioned if you had mistletoe, that would be a lovely addition to pick into the bottom of your kissing ball. Then it truly does become a kissing ball. It's not just a pretty ball of evergreens. Oh, my fingers are very sticky from all the foliages. The pitch. And then I'll just fasten this at the top of my hanger. And since it's on a wire, I could just take a wood pick and wrap it around the wood pick, like so. It's a little bit long. And poke it right into the top of the foam. I could also tie it around the hanger itself, but I could add just a little festive touch there on the top. And then if I wanted to, I could also add some additional loops of the ribbon just tucked in and around the foliage. So that would give me a clever way to use up those little bits that we have so much of this time of year. And it really could be any kind of foliage. Camellia in here would look great. Small salal, huckleberry, myrtle, pretty much any of your foliages would look lovely in here. How adorable would this be as a succulent kissing ball? Wouldn't that be fun? So much fun. So if you make a kissing ball, I would love to see you make it and post it and tag us. If you put it in the Tulip People, we'll see that. But if you don't put it in Tulip People, if you put it for the whole world to see, make sure you tag it so, hashtag Floral Design Institute so that we can see it, because I want to see what you guys make if you make a little kissing ball. So I'm going to set him aside to finish a little bit later. And then I have one more fun little thing, little Christmas tchotchke for you. It's a great one for, again, when you're trying to use up those little bits, random bits of foliage. And you'll need a whole brick of foam. And I happen to have a very large knife, a foam knife. And what I want to do on this foam is I'm going to cut it on the diagonal. And that's where these big foam knives come in handy, because you don't have to try and guess. You can cut it perfectly in half, like so. And then I'm going to match those two pieces up. Oh, what does that look like? And then I have a section of floral netting, and for security, I'm going to lay my pyramid into the floral netting, and then just wrap the floral netting around it. This again is for security, plus it helps hold those two pieces together. It's like wrapping a package. All right, so they're pretty well wrapped together. Now, if I was concerned, I could come in with some of the paddle wire and do a couple little tacks on it to hold it in place. That would work. But I think I'm going to be fine. And then I need, whoopsie, I'm looking for, Hitomi, can you run on the counter right outside there? There's the wide green floral tape. I thought I brought it in, but I am not seeing the tape somewhere. But I want to use the floral tape to secure that into my container. And what I have here is just a plastic or acrylic utility container. This one happens to be faux terracotta. And it will give me a nice solid base, a nice wide base to put things in and secure to, and it also has a really nice water reservoir, which is very, very helpful.
Both Rick says it looks like more pie, and then Roger says a nice wedge of pie.
A very nice wedge of pie. Would it be mint pie since it's green? Oh, thank you, ma'am. Perfection. All right, so I have the wide waterproof tape here, and I'm just going to strap this guy in. Crisscross there.
Put his seatbelt on.
It's a seatbelt, double belted. Double belted in there.
So Pamela has a question for you.
Sure.
What size is your floral netting? She's asking.
What size? The width of it, I want to say it was 16 inches. It was about 17 inches wide, and it's a 12-inch roll. So it doesn't have to be precise. It just happens to be that works really well with one brick of foam. All right, so I've got that set up, and then I'll take, again, this is all the bits and bobs, people. This is all the little bits of leftovers. I have Doug fir, I have flat cedar, I have a little bit of the pokey cedar, lots of Doug fir, in fact. And I think I better go back to the knife or the nippers, because the knife is not really loving that. What I'm going to do is insert up into my foam at an angle like that. Rather than straight in, I'm coming up, maybe some in underneath. And I want to have a pretty good curtain of it, I guess I would say, to conceal that container, conceal the mechanics. Make sure I don't see that little plastic dude. Man, I made a mess up here today. Some days, you know, you just gotta make a mess. That's just the way things go. Can't always be clean and tidy like Leanne.
Oh, Lori has a question for you.
Sure.
How do you do flowers and still have nice nails?
Well, I process most of my foliages and things with gloves on, just to be safe. And then, I don't know, just, I do my own nails, so if they start to look bad, I don't have to make an appointment. I can just go work on them myself. So as I work my foliages around here, again, making sure I get all of that hidden. Again, I'm not going to finish this one completely because you would lose your mind if you watched me poking all these little bits in here. But again, it was about showing you the mechanics. And this is, like I said, these are the little bits and bobs of things that are left over. These are all just little short bits of Doug fir and flat cedar. And this is a great little design, whether you're in a shop and you have little bits, or you want to make a fun little gift for somebody, or you have a holiday bazaar coming up. This would be a super fun little thing to do. This would also be a great activity if you have children and they're home from school and you need a little project for them. This would be a fun, less messy than a gingerbread house project. I have been told they can be quite messy. Did you do gingerbread houses with your kids when they were little, Carolyn?
No,
No.
too messy.
Too messy, yeah, see there's that. There's the messy. So I'm starting to get pretty good coverage. Anybody know what I'm making?
Kathy does.
Kathy knows?
Yeah.
Is she correct?
Yes.
Okay.
She did the same thing.
Oh, well, good for you. Well, the thing I like most about the designs today, you'll notice I haven't poked a posy in one of them. I don't have a flower in anything. That's not to say I'm not just dying to put these garden roses into something. They may find their way into the white one, just a few of them, because I can. But I wanted to show you that the skills and the techniques that we learn, the mechanics that we use for lots of different things, can be used outside of strictly putting flowers into containers. And this time of year, I think we get permission to play, I don't know, play with our food a little bit more. Our food being our flowers. And knowing that the skills that you already have can be used in a different way, or just rethinking what you already know how to do. It's like, oh, I could do this with that. That would look fun. That would look cool. Anybody else chime in with what they think I'm making here? Oh,
Yeah, it's going back and forth
back and forth? Okay.
on YouTube.
All right.
But they're mostly right.
Okay. Well, for those of you who put the other thing in, and I know I haven't said it yet, but there's that. You could do the exact same construction to do that as well. And of course I need to finish the back when we're done. But I wanted to make sure that I at least got it's a good thing I did my nails the other day, Lori, because they would not be surviving me breaking the foliage like this otherwise. Is Drake on with us today?
Yes, he is.
Yes,
Okay.
I thought I saw
Plug
it.
your ears, honey. Because I'm going to use the S word. I'm going to say sports for a minute. So, I know, I already got called on it at the grocery store the other day. The lady at the checkout said, fall's over, you don't need to have pumpkin nails. And I said, oh honey, I don't have pumpkin nails. I have Oregon State beaver nails. Because we're going to a bowl game, right, Carol?
We are.
We are. So, gotta support the team, gotta rep for your school, or at least your husband's school. All right, so I would continue to add the layered foliage all the way around. And I put a little bit of paper in the top part of his Santa hat right there to give it a little more structure. And then of course, no Santa gnome is complete without a nose. So this little fella, as size, this is 1 brick of foam, little bits of flotsam and jetsam of foliages. This would be adorable on a table, at your house. You could make it a little bit larger and put it on a sideboard. You could make it porch pot sized and put it outside. There are some other construction mechanics if you're doing it outside, because you don't really need a water source in most cases, and you're working with full branches. But this design, the kissing ball, and the white specimen ornament design, if you want to call it that, are all very scalable. You can make them very, very small and use them as favors on your Christmas table. You could make them very, very large and make them on both sides of a podium or a raised platform for a banquet or an auction. And honestly, I think this one would be such a fun thing as a family, but it's also a very saleable design. You don't have a lot of expensive materials, and it goes together pretty quickly, all things considered.
Yes, you're getting lots of love for Mr. Gnome.
Well, good. I'm glad you guys like the little Christmas gnome with his very, buffalo plaid hat. I found just a classic Santa one. It's like, no, this one's got a little more festive appeal to it. Plus the fur was really fun to play with, so there's that. So, as you move forward into your holiday season, as you finish wreathing and treeing the world, save those little bits that you have. Think of different ways that you can work them into a design. And don't forget, you have until the end of the year, December 30th, to use that code, which is gift for you. course that we offer, online or in person. You can work with Carolyn and Leanne and myself online, or you can come and play with us and play with flowers in person. We'd love to have you do that either way. So as you finish out your holiday season, continue to do something you love, and we'll see you all next week.